light. In the silence, hear your feet hit the pavement, pounding like a drum. Sunrise chasing dreams we ain't done. Sweat on my brow, fire in my veins. Nothing gonna stop me feeling no pain. Each step strong, the shadows fall away. Rise up, conquer today's the day. Heartbeat racing, mind so clear. Listen to my voice, no fear. Keep on running, don't slow down. Till the finish line, the dreams I found. Every sign of victory in the making. Shouting loud, we ain't faking. Push through the struggle, break the chains. Leave behind doubts and all the pain. Closing in on that gleaming prize. Eyes on the goal, see it rise. Mountains to climb, rivers to cross. No looking back, no count the loss. Forward march, head held high. Things all our hands we can fly. Keep on running, slow down. Feel the finish line, the dreams all found. Every time victory in the making. Shouting loud, we ain't faking. Keep on running, don't slow down.
Greetings, beautiful human. My name is AJ, owner of AJ Inc., Triple M Coaching, founder of our home on the interweb, actyourself.net. I'm just getting set up for our Healing in Nature event today. Give me just a moment. Getting everything ready here. Well, like I said, my name is AJ, owner of AJ Inc., Triple M Coaching. I am a human programmer and I teach my clients self-hypnosis and help them rewrite the unconscious programming of self-sabotage. And today, in this Healing in Nature podcast event, we are going to talk about values versus conditioning. I have an opening that we're going to start with a conversational hypnosis story that helps you deprogramming conditioning and insert values. Then we have about a half hour bit of information that teaches you all about values versus conditioning. And then we got a guided meditation. So hopefully tonight will bring a lot of change for anybody that takes the time to watch. For all of you joining me, I don't know if I have anyone live quite yet. For anyone who joins me live, thank you for joining me live. For anyone that watches the replay later, thank you for being part of this movement of healing and bettering ourselves. So this event answers the question: Who are we without survival? It helps us to say, if survival isn't my compass anymore, what is? That's what we're going to learn today. Today, this event will help you find your inner compass. By the end of this event, hopefully you will be able to clearly understand the difference between values and conditioning, recognize how guilt, shame, and fear were installed as control mechanisms, feel permission to choose what is true for you, begin trusting your own inner guidance again, and associating your safety, clarity, and leadership with your own values. So stick around with me. We're going to do a little song here for the intro while I finish getting set up and making sure that my YouTube channel is all set to go. And as soon as that song is over, we will get started with my neurolinguistic programming conversational hypnosis. And each section of these events are designed to reach your unconscious mind to help you be able to consciously reprogram and see the problems that are inside. So these might not be the most visually stimulating events, but if you stick with me, the words that we use and the way that the information is presented, I spend hours every week working on how to present these and working on how best to help as many people as possible. So I appreciate you participating in this. Stick around for a moment. We're going to hear a song from my band Love Trust, a song called True Reflection. And then I will be back to get this event started.
Hypnotically frozen, eyes closed to the sound. Inner peace begins to spin, mind and body found. Ego fades away, acceptance starts to bloom. In this trance I sway, souls emerging, growing strong every know. Heart itself begins to flow, emotions flow like the sea. I'm becoming truly me. The rhythm's steady, inside starts to glow. Self become already, when wisdom shows. Ego no longer belongs, look within to see. In a constant surround, mind and body free. In space, I'm growing, true self now unfolding. Embrace the light that's showing, pure love I am holding. Going strong with every low, high self begins to flow. Emotions flow like a sea. I'm becoming truly me. Inside starts to grow. Voice become more ready. It's motion, running like a flow. Ego no longer bound. Look within to see. Calmness surrounds mind and body. The space I'm growing, true self unfolding. Embrace the light showing, pure love I hold.
Greetings, beautiful humans. Like I've already said, my name is AJ, owner of AJ Inc. Triple F Coaching. This is another one of our Healing in Nature podcasts. And today we are talking about values versus conditioning, finding your truth, and really how you can tell the difference between values and conditioning. So, for anyone joining me right now, I'm grateful you're here. For anyone joining me later in the future, I'm grateful you're here. We are going to get started. To make sure my music was playing in the background. That's to calm me down. So, there was a person who spent most of their life doing what they were told was right. They learned early how to read a room. They noticed approval. They noticed when approval was taken away. They learned which words kept peace and which behaviors avoided conflict, which parts of themselves were welcome, and which parts needed to stay quiet. They didn't even consciously notice this process. But if they had, they would have just called it, sorry, I lost my place. They would have just called going with the flow, doing what was necessary. And anytime the uncomfortable feelings of choosing safety over authenticity would come up, they would simply think of it as being responsible. They didn't realize the behavior of survival because they were too distracted by the compliments for being so good, well behaved. And for a long time, worked. But then one day, maybe after a loss or a burnout or a relationship ending, they realized something unsettling. That even when they did everything right, they still felt disconnected. And at this point, no amount of approval could fix it. So they tried harder, more effort, more discipline, more fixing. But the harder they pushed, the more their body pushed back with tension, anxiety, exhaustion. And that's when the question appeared: what if the rules I've been following aren't wrong? What if they're just not mine? Rules they were living by had kept them safe. But these rules never allowed them to be who they truly are. Their pain had simply trained the body to avoid discomfort, but they had never learned how to feel alive, how to feel alive, or how to be human. It had just trained them to survive, but not to trust themselves. And as this reality became more conscious, another pattern became clearer. When they followed a should, the body lightened. When they imagined choosing differently, there was fear. But underneath that fear was relief. Because once we train ourselves, pay attention, and unravel the meaning of our emotions, we are able to begin to understand something that most people are never taught. There's a difference between living by conditioning and living by values. You see, conditioning is learned to keep connection, but values are discovered when connection to self is restored. Most connections that conditioning create are toxic. We are only susceptible to conditioning when we lose connection with ourselves. And that's the problem, since most of us were conditioned from birth. So as you listen now, you don't have to label anything. You don't have to decide. Just notice when something feels heavy, and notice something feels honest. Your nervous system already knows the difference. It has just always been allowed to choose. So tonight, we're not here to tear anything down. We're just here to sort, to separate what helped you survive from what will help you live. And you can keep listening from that quieter, steadier place. What is conditioning? Conditioning is anything that you learned in order to survive, not because it was true. We get sources of our conditioning from our families, religion, and spirituality, from culture, from trauma bonds, through addiction cycles, from hustle culture and capitalism. So the way we know the difference between conditioning and value. Is that conditioning answer? How do I avoid punishment or rejection? Well, values answer what actually matters to me. Think about it for your life and the times you make decisions. How often are you making decisions to avoid punishment or rejection, as opposed to how many times are you making decisions because you want to decide what actually matters to you? You'll find these situations arising in situations where you're coerced to stay loyal to abusive family because family is. I've heard that a lot in my life. How could you not talk to that person? Their family. But if someone's destroying you every time you turn around, causing problems for you, it might be time to start choosing what matters to you above what keeps you connected to a toxic family system. Another real life example of how this manifests is believing that rest equals laziness. That's a big part of my coaching. Usually people come to me in that moment when they've caught a glimpse of their new identity and they've tried it on and they love it. They don't quite believe that they have what it takes to put it on. And quite often at that time, there's a belief that we have to earn rest. And that's just not true. And it's quite the process helping people to realize that they deserve a rest just because they need it. And when you think about it, it doesn't make much sense to push through a rest. It's kind of like driving past empty sign on your gas tank. It's really pointless because if there's no more fuel left, the car's going to go full. You're the same way. So when it comes to taking a rest, we need to be using values rather than our conditioning. What's best for me. Another situation could be thinking boundaries are selfish. It's a hard one, especially in romantic relationships, learning how to set healthy boundaries, how to see your partner's healthy boundaries, and how to work with each other in that way. But the idea that thinking are selfish when boundaries are what creates a healthy relationship gives you a clue if you're operating under values. One last example is feeling guilty for being happy when others aren't. I remember a distinct time in my 18-year marriage where I was in a cult and in a narcissistically abusive, emotionally abusive relationship. And I remember a solid 6-month period where I would get in trouble for being happy if my ex was upset. And I remember one time even my mother-in-law coming over to me saying, "How can you be smiling when she's upset?" And I remember saying, "I'm a different person and I'm sorry she's upset. I tried to help her. She's deciding to be upset and I want to be happy." And in that family system, I actually got punished for it. I was told, my kids were told I was bad for being upset with her. So if you find yourself feeling guilty for being happy when others aren't, definitely need to start getting rid of the condition. So I've had clients tell me I feel guilty choosing myself even when I know it's healthy. Why? The answer is always because guilt was installed as a brake system, not as a truth system. Once you can get to the bottom of what guilt and conditioning are doing, keeping other people in control of your happiness, keeping you in line with their will for you, taking away your free will, it becomes easy to question the conditioning and start listening to the values. So, what values are? Values are not what you say that you believe. Values are what your body feels calm living by. Values expand the nervous system. Conditioning contracts it. So think to yourself and find a should that you live by. Something you think in your mind, I should do this. And then notice a value that feels more full. So in the earlier account where taking a rest, you may feel like you deserve it. If your conditioning is I should keep working because I'm not done, and you notice a value that feels more peaceful, I need a rest because I've already had a long day, you might decide to adopt the value over the conditioning because your body already knows the difference. It just wasn't allowed to speak. It didn't know how to listen before. So examples of true values are honesty, autonomy, the ability to make your own choices, peace. Peace is one of my number one values. Creativity, connection, growth, presence, and most of all, safety. So survival asks, what do I do? What do I need to do in order to stay safe? But integrity asks, what aligns with who I actually am? See the difference? Is making decisions. How do I stay safe? How do I keep connections with people that are hard to deal with? How do I get my approval outside? Integrity asks, what aligns with who I actually am? Choosing survival wasn't wrong, it was necessary. But staying there when danger has passed creates suffering. And I find most times with my clients, that's what we're dealing with. We're removing these conditioning responses and we're putting in place their own values, what's important to them. And so, someone who is stuck living by conditioning rather than values, a good illustration might be this person looks like a person who escaped a burning house but keeps sleeping in fire gear long after. Can you imagine somebody safely getting out, but they still have their respirator on that the firemen put on for weeks and weeks after? There's no more fire. But see, with conditioning, we can't see the respirator on. We can't see the heavy gear that we're carrying around. Sometimes we need someone else to point it out, or sometimes we just need to feel its weight. We can know it's there by how heavy it is to carry around. So I've had clients tell me, I don't know what I value because my whole life was about keeping the peace. And the response is that was your value, safety. And now you're allowed to choose something else, or you can expand that safety to. But the first key is to recognize that you're still living under the conditioning of safety. And then that releases you from the conditioning being under other people's control. So now I want you to take a moment. You can write on a piece of paper, comment, or or just think in your mind. I want you to think of 3 things that you resent, 3 things that drain you, and 3 moments that you feel most like yourself. So stop for a moment and think of 3 things that you resent doing or having to be a part of, 3 things that drain you, and then 3 moments you feel most like yourself. When you have your list, review it, and you can understand that resentment reveals violated values, and energy reveals alignment. So we can take these examples into our parenting for parents. There are times that you resent your children for the situation they have or their attitude. Is there things that you do as a parent that you resent doing? If you analyze that, reverse engineer it, it will show you areas that you're violating your own values. And oftentimes it's us wishing we had a better childhood and almost being upset at our children because we feel like they have a better childhood than we had, and we're irritated with them because they won't respect us. But if you work that all out in your head, you'll understand that the only way to get the results for your children that you want is to give them what they need. And that's your job as a parent. And that's hard to do because most of the time as parents, we weren't raised in a way to understand how to do it right. Most of our parents didn't. So that's a long process. But the areas that you resent in parenting will reveal the values that you're crossing on your own. Another place we could use this tool is business owners and look at areas in their business that they resent having to do or be part of or have happen to them. 3 things that drain them, and then moments when they feel most like yourself. This will help you to align and to focus your attention. Religion and addiction. These areas can use the same set of questions. But why does choosing values feel scary? Because conditioning is something we're used to. It feels safe. Values are outside of our safety zone. Our nervous system confuses familiarity with unsafety. Because fear doesn't mean that it's wrong. Guilt doesn't mean that it's immoral. Discomfort often means growth. Reassuring, sorry, and you don't have to force anything. As clarity unfolds at its own pace, when safety comes first. So I hope some of these have helped you to see the difference between values and conditioning. And I hope over the next few days and weeks, the values and conditioning will become more clear and you'll be able to make the choices that make you happy, you'll be able to live a more authentic life. And to help with that, I have a short guided hypnosis for helping our unconscious mind to find values versus conditioning. So I want you to sit back Find a comfortable place. You can close your eyes if you like, or just sit and listen to my voice, and I will guide you through. You don't need to do anything. You can keep your eyes open, or you can let them close. Whatever feels most comfortable to you. Because right now isn't about effort, it's simply about allowing to remember something it already knows. And you might begin by simply noticing what it feels like something is alive. Not because someone told you it was right, not because you were supposed to choose it, but because your body said yes. And you didn't have to search for a memory. Sometimes alignment shows up as a sense of ease, sometimes as a quiet clarity, sometimes just as the absence of tension. In whatever form it takes for you, let your body remember that feeling now. And now, without judging, notice what pressure feels like in your body. Pressure for pressure to please, pressure to explain, and notice when pressure leaves. And you can begin to notice where it sits in your body. Maybe in the chest, the shoulders, the jaw. And you don't need to push it away. Just notice it. And now, bring your attention to peace, not happiness, not excitement, just peace. That's a new feeling to you. Be found resting in safety. So simply look for the feelings of safety. And as you move towards those feelings, go just a little deeper. You'll find peace. It's always present in the body. Rest waiting to be discovered. And as you begin that process, allow yourself to notice that peace doesn't demand anything. It doesn't rush. It doesn't argue. It doesn't compare the two. Your nervous system already knows that pressure contracts, but peace expands. And you may begin to realize something important. You don't need rules to tell you what matters. Your body gives you feedback every time. And as this settles in, your unconscious mind can begin sorting what helped you survive and what helps you stay aligned. And it can do that at its own pace without forcing any decisions. Imagine for a moment yourself making choices not from fear, not from guilt, not from obligation, but from curiosity. Choosing things that feel supportive, that feel honest, that feel sustainable. And notice your system relaxes when the choice is gentle, when there's permission to adjust, even slightly, towards the things that feel better. When learning feels natural, when you have full permission to change your mind. Your unconscious, the part of you that learned these patterns very early, can now begin updating all of them, keeping what worked, and simply releasing everything that no longer fits completely, automatically, with zero effort. trusting yourself doesn't mean always know the answer. It means you're willing to listen, to pause, to check in, to trust that you are enough. And your body appreciates that. It responds kindly to being considered. And as you move forward to conversations, decisions, relationships, you may find yourself noticing soon when something feels like pressure, when something feels like that awareness creates choice. And you can relax into the knowing that there is nothing you need to do right now. No action required, no conclusion necessary. Just let it integrate like water soaking into soil. And when you're ready, you can bring your attention back to the room, knowing that your system is already practicing choosing gently. If any of the work that I'm doing here resonates with you, this is the work that we do in my groups. We are starting this month the Balanced Life Wheel online mastermind, a group where we go through my book called The Balanced Life Wheel, and we work on one section each week of our lives, from relationships, career, to our contribution we give back to society. And we do meditations, mindfulness, breath work together. We discuss methods on how to break this conditioning and live on values. So if you're interested in doing that work with me, I already have about 10 people signed up for the class. I have room for about 20 right now. I want to keep it a small group. I'm going to be giving a couple spaces away to people who can make it to the Zoom group every week, but maybe can't. So if you're in that position and you want an opportunity like this to work with a group of like-minded people who are conscious creators, working hard to reprogram their unconscious wiring of self-sabotage, doing this in a group is very effective. My clients are progressing very quickly. So if you're interested in doing this work, give me a text. Shoot me a text at 360-798-2184. How this work? There, 360-798-2184. Or if you're interested in one-on-one coaching, I also have some space available for that for you, just a couple. So I thank you for joining me with this event. I'm about to open up the Zoom room anyone wants for a conversation right now, the link is in the description to this video. So if you're watching, you want to jump on and talk to me about your experience with meditation, mindfulness, breath work, or all things metaphysical, I'd love to talk to you for a bit. If you have any areas you're stuck with mindfulness and meditation, or if you want to share some of your experience with me, I'm always down for learning. I'm always learning. So click the link there. It will take you into my Zoom room, and the passcode is always 133 for these events. You're welcome to join me. We can talk for a little bit. I may have my friend Efren showing up. Some of you have met him, who have seen him, but I'm not yet. So I will give a couple more minutes here to see if anyone wants to join. And if you just have a question, also I have a WhatsApp group. I thought that was going to be a better idea than it has been, but maybe if we get more people in it might be. But I set up a nation WhatsApp group so we can talk during these events. And inside that group is a Healing in Nature chat. Where you can have questions, or you could just text my phone number if you had a question or a comment. If you have any ideas on what to make our next future events, the topic of them, or you have questions or areas that you're stuck in any of the topics that I've already covered in our past events, let me know. I want to make this as interactive as I can. And I'm just not sure how to have a whole lot of friends after getting out of a cold after 18 years. So if you're enjoying these events and you know other people that are on the healing path, trying to learn shadow work, some of these concepts, please do share this podcast with them, share this video with them. If you're enjoying, please like, subscribe, and share the video. That helps so much. I've gained a lot of new subscribers in the last couple of weeks, almost 100 subscribers. Exciting. We started out with like 40 just a while ago. All right, well, I don't think anyone's going to join me, so I'm going to sign off, play another song from my album while I get everything wrapped up, just in case somebody texts me and wants to join. And if you want to join me this Wednesday, I think I'm going to kind of change the format. I was doing a full topic like we did today, like conditioning for each Sunday and Wednesday event. But I think the Wednesday event I'm going to turn more into maybe a meditation class together, contemplating making this Wednesday's topic visualize world peace. Because I think with all the craziness going on in the news, I want to talk about any current topics like that. I want to turn our focus toward peace. And so comment, let me know, hop in my group chat or text me if you have any other ideas, or if you'd like to be a part of that. I can get up my Zoom for that too, and you can join me live on Zoom, or I can just live stream it on YouTube. So I don't know what's going to happen yet. I'm building these events as we go. You're watching me learn as I go. And so just doing the best that I can. So thank you for all your feedback. I've got tons of comments and texts and emails and people giving me feedback. So I'm always open for your feedback. I'm going to play this song, quit rambling here, and say goodnight to everyone.
Voices call from the shadows, they surround me. Ancestors.